Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Balderrama, and I want to just thank you for being here tonight. It is our night to talk about taking your dreams back and to give you a couple of pointers and tips about how to start working with your dreams right away. So I'm super passionate about empowering you to work with your dreams and to put this tool in your magic backpack to be able to create the life that you want. So that's creating the relationships you want, creating the health you want, the wealth you want, the body you want, all the community that you want. Your dreams can actually help you in manifesting all of your desires. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for your curiosity. If you're watching the replay later, thank you so much for watching the replay. I would love to answer any and all of your questions. So if you are here with me tonight, of course, you can type your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and let me know that you have a question. If you're watching the replay later, I am available through email, through Facebook Messenger, so you can always type your questions there. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this Facebook group that I have as we keep going along, but I want to just mention that I have a Facebook group called The Dream Temple on Facebook, and we are going to be kicking off. We've been sort of gathering people for a little while and kind of building the Dream Temple, and I've been planning in the background, but we're going to be kicking off next week with a 7-day dreaming challenge. And so I'd love, love, love for you to be a part of that. And during that dreaming challenge, we're definitely going to cover everything that I've talked about here tonight. We'll go over this. You'll hear it again and again and again, and it'll get into your subconscious, and it'll be easy peasy for you to work with your dreams. But it's a great way to connect with me as well. I have a co-administrator, a partner in crime, Ryan Taskar, who's also going to be in the Dream Temple, who's going to be helping us with some dream work, guiding us along. Remember, though, you're the only person who has any authority over what your dreams mean, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more tonight, and we're going to definitely go over that again and again and again and remind you of that in the Dream Temple. Okay, so who am I? Some of you know who I am. Some of you don't know who I am. Some of you have known me since childhood and have seen me come through many, many incarnations of myself. And so it's interesting, as we birth ourselves anew again and again and again, we sort of just expand into a bigger version of ourselves. So this is the version of myself that is currently walking around doing her thing. And that is of a dream weaver. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what a dream weaver is, or what the term that I've coined here to explain how I work with dreams. But essentially, dream work for me is one of my coaching tools. So I'm a coach. I work with overgivers. I work with overthinkers and overdoers, basically people who, as Brene Brown says, are hustling for their worth. So it's, when we get into that place where we feel really disconnected from our desires and from our relationships and from our bodies, and maybe even some resentment starts to creep in, and some overwhelm, maybe some depression and anxiety. And I've been there. I've so been there and found my way out of that into my bliss. And so that's why I am really passionate about working with people who are finding themselves in that space, and they know that there is something more. Hey, Angelina, welcome. I should turn off that little doorbell thingy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I was just saying a little bit about who I am, and so you know the spiel because you know who I am. How are you this evening? Are you there, Angelina?
I'm here. Yes. Okay. I don't know if you could see me or hear me.
I cannot see you yet, but I can hear you. Absolutely.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
I'm still cooking dinner.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So Angelina, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, I think.
Okay.
Maybe I am. Let's see. There we go. Oh, you muted yourself. Perfect. Okay. Great. Okay. So yes, dream weaving, yes, is a tool that I use in my magic backpack for my coaching practices to take people from feeling overwhelmed and disconnected and resentful and anxious and depressed into feeling really turned on and lit up and free and autonomous. And dream work is one of the most efficient vehicles that I've found to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about dream weaving later, because there's an important component to this, which includes a lot of the other practices that I've come across in my coaching career. And that is, everything from NLP to Qigong and Tai Chi to visualizations, mindfulness practices, all kinds of different things. And we weave those in together. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the webinar. So I want to just say hello to Angelina, of course, who's here with me, everybody else who's watching the replay. And then I think we're probably going to, I had a couple more people let me know that they're going to maybe jump on a little bit late. So just want to thank you so much for being here and remind you again that I'm super passionate about taking our dreams back and being in this place where we feel empowered to look at our dreams, to uncover the wisdom and the insight that we have, that our dreams bring to us, and to be able to apply it to our waking life, to actually make a difference in our waking life, to change and transform what's going on in our waking life. So just a little bit of housekeeping for today. If you're watching the replay, should be able to just watch the replay all the way through. But if you're here with me live, we have the chat box. So if you hover down at the bottom, now I'm not sure what happens on the phone, so because I'm rarely on the phone on Zoom, but we have the chat box if you're on the desktop. So you can hover down at the bottom and you can put any questions that you have in the chat box right there. You can also just raise your hand or unmute yourself if you've got any questions or you've got comments that you want to make. And again, I want to encourage you, if you're watching the replay later and you have a question about anything that I say here tonight, please reach out to me. You can email me, you can find me on Facebook, send me a private message, or again, in the Dream Temple, if you haven't joined it yet, you can join us in there, and you've got easy peasy access to me in there. You can always tag me. Make sure I see your post. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about tonight, if you see me kind of look over, I've got some notes because I don't want to miss anything. So the first thing that we're going to talk about tonight is, if you're going to start working with your dreams, you've got to start remembering your dreams. And so you've got to cultivate a space for your dreams. I did a Facebook Live earlier today where I was talking about making sure that you are creating space for your sanctuary and you're visiting it often. And the sanctuary space looks different for everybody. So the sanctuary may look like, it may be meditation, that you find stillness and connection with your inner landscape. It might be dream work. It might be, for some people, it's running or some creative projects. I know Angelina likes to be really creative. So being in that creative space can sometimes be your sanctuary. There's lots of other kinds of practices. Dancing. I know there's a lot of people that love ecstatic dance and love Koya and Zumba and just dancing in your living room. Hello, Ashley, and welcome. Welcome to our webinar tonight. It is Take Back Your Dreams. And we are just now talking about how important it is to cultivate a space for your dreams so that you can remember your dreams. So Ashley, just real quick, if you've got any questions, you can always type them in the chat box right there. You can also just unmute yourself and come on and let us know that you have a question. I'm super happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay. So I have a PDF that I am going to send out with the replay. So everybody that registered for the webinar is going to get a copy of the replay, and I'll send the PDF to you as a gift as well. And it's 5 tips to being able to boost your dream recall. And so some of this is in there, and it's great because you don't have to take notes at this particular point if you don't want to. But I want to just touch base in the webinar right now about a couple of different things as we cultivate this space for your dreams. Now, I think about my dreams. I think about being in relationship with my dreams. And I think about, what would I want to do with any relationship that I create? Well, I want to make sure that I'm creating space for communication. I want to create a lot of space for flow of communication, for back and forth. I have a friend who is an introvert, and I'm an ambivert. But when I am around people, I tend to be more extroverted, and I tend to fill up space and pauses. And so, especially as a coach, and then this friend especially, I've noticed that it is so much richer. We have such richer conversations when I leave space for him to speak back to me and to check in and to think about what he wants to say instead of trying to fill that space. And so it's the same thing with your dreams. At night, think about, rather than just, going and going and going until you're just exhausted and you fall into bed exhausted, think about creating 10 minutes of space before you fall asleep. So this is going to require that you set a bedtime for yourself and that you go to bed at a particular time. And in that 10 minutes, and it could be 5 minutes, or it could be 20 minutes, it could be an hour, whatever works for you. But in that time and in that space, you start to begin a conversation with your dreams, and you start it while you're awake. And so that conversation can look anything like, I intend to remember my dreams, and just saying that over and over and over again as you start to slow your breath down. It's almost as if you're sort of meditating on intending to remember your dreams. Now, in the space of intending to remember your dreams, if you like, you could ask your dreams questions. I'd like insight on this work situation that I'm having. Or I'm, at a crossroads in my life and want some direction on which way I want to go or how to make that happen. So you can even ask your dreams questions. I personally feel like there are guides that come to me in my dreams again and again and again. And so I may speak directly to those guides. I may speak directly to those dream guides. Some of us are really concerned with creating the intention to remember our dreams because we don't remember our dreams very readily. But there are some of us that actually dream prolifically and remember the dreams. And it can actually feel like a little bit too much. It can feel overwhelming. And so you can talk to your dream guides then. You can say, you know what, I really need some rest tonight. Could you turn down the volume on the dreams? So that's the first space where we can cultivate a relationship for the communication for our dreams to go back and forth. The second space that we can cultivate for our dreams is in the morning time. So I have created a life in which I don't have to get up at a particular time. Now, I like to get up at a particular time. I like to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning so that I can go to my sanctuary and I can do my dream work and I can do my mindfulness practice, get some movement into my body, and so on. But I don't wake up with an alarm. And if I do wake up with an alarm, my alarm is very gentle. I actually have little birds tweeting, and that's how I wake up if I have to wake up with an alarm. And I set the alarm, when I set the alarm, which is not all the time, I set the alarm for about half an hour before I want to get up out of bed. Now that's for me because I really love to hang out in that space where you're kind of half asleep and half awake. I do a lot of working with my dreams in that space. But for you, just starting out, maybe again, 5 minutes or 10 minutes before you need to be up, if you need to set an alarm, if you can set an alarm that's gentle, or if you can even just set your biological rhythms so that you wake up about 5 or 10 minutes before you get out of bed. Or if you can wake up naturally and then decide, I'm going to lay here for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, when you are dreaming, your dreams are going to become more elusive, meaning they're going to start to float away the more you move. So when you wake up in the morning, if you can kind of stop yourself from moving, stop yourself from rolling over or stretching or doing anything or talking to anybody, and just lay there with your eyes closed and recall your dreams. And I like to just tell them back to myself. As if I'm telling myself a story. So just tell yourself the dream back to yourself, or go back into the dream if you want to. Now, there's a really cool dream re-entry that we can do, and we'll talk about that in the Dream Temple if you want to join the Dream Temple. And that's one of the ways of working with your dreams, and this is a perfect time to be able to do that as well. But right now we're just talking about cultivating the space to be able to create a relationship with your dreams or remember your dreams. So those are probably my top 2 pointers: is create space before you go to bed to have a conversation with your dreams and then create space in the morning time before you have to get up so that you can remember your dreams. Now, the other important point is if you want to work with your dreams, you have to record your dreams in some way. Remember, I said the more you move, the more you're going to have the dreams sort of float away. And so if you can figure out a way that works for you. I use my phone because, I don't know, that just works for me. I have a dream journal by my bed where I can write the dreams down if I choose, but I tend to grab my phone most often, and I'll type my dreams into the phone, or even just little fragments or sentences or keywords or symbols that feel important to me, or feelings that I feel in the dream, and I'll record that, and then I'll flush it out a little bit more in the morning. But you know how sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you know you've had a dream? It's important to catch those dreams. So keep a dream journal by your bed, use your phone, use a voice recorder if that feels better for you. Create a system that works for you, and it might be trial and error that you have to figure out what works for you in your dreams. Okay, so we've got create some space before bedtime, create some space in the morning to remember your dreams, to recall them before you move, and then record your dreams. Write them down, put keywords in your phone, talk into your phone, whatever you need to do in order to capture your dreams. It's important that you write them down or record them in some way, because if you don't have time in the morning to do your dream work then, you're going to be less likely to remember it later on in the day. Okay. So that is how to remember your dreams. And there's lots more tips. And again, you're going to have them in the PDF. And if you join the Dream Temple, we're going to get tips. You know, what do other people do? So I'm always very interested in what do other people do. I'm not the authority on dream work. I know some things about dream work, and you are the authority on your own dreams and your own dream work. And so I can tell you, I can report back. I've gone into the field and I can bring my data back for you. And so I can report back to you what I found to be helpful. But this is why it's great to be in community with people, because we can also get what's worked for other people. We are all experts in our own lives and our own dreams. So I encourage you to have an experimental attitude. Try something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, try something else. Talk to other people about what works for them. And just try and collect the data and then adjust and refine. All right, so the next point that we want to talk to is I want to give you a quick start method for working with your dreams. I know a lot of times we have our dreams and we're not really sure where to start with them. And so sometimes maybe we get on Google and we look for a dream dictionary, and you know, the dream dictionary says that it's about our teeth are falling out, is about a fortune that we're going to have, you know, that's coming our way. And we're kind of like, what? Or we post it on Facebook and we get all of our friends' opinions. And sometimes you might notice that somebody says something and it kind of catches you, right? Like you feel it in your body. You feel goosebumps, or you feel like a sense of recognition. And that to me is a sign that I've hit on truth. But if I don't feel anything, if I'm reading something, if I'm you know, reading a dream dictionary, or I'm reading something about an animal that showed up in my dreams, if I don't feel anything, then I know that that's not applicable to this particular dream. But the better way is to have a set of tools for you to start working with your dreams immediately. And so I've got 3 questions that you can start asking yourself. This is a quick start way. Now there's many, many, many different ways to work with your dreams. And we're going to talk about all those different ways in the Dream Temple. But for tonight, I'm just going to give you these 3 quick ways to work with your dreams. And that's these questions. Number 1, how do I feel in the dream? So feelings are super, super important in the dreams. Isn't it interesting that when we go to sleep, we actually have emotions and we can feel them, we can remember feeling them in our body. We have these sensations. And so feelings are super important to record in the dream. When you're recording your dreams, you're writing them down, you're speaking them into your recorder. Make sure you pay attention to the feelings, because those are important. So there's a second part to this question, same question, but part B. How do I feel about the dream? Now let me tell you why I want to record both of these. How do I feel in the dream? How do I feel about the dream? We want to pay attention. Sometimes there's a paradox. Sometimes there's a very different feeling in the dream than there is about the dream. Or sometimes there's a heightened reflection. So we have, let's say, shame show up in the dream, and then we feel shame about the dream too. And it's just like, oh, that's bigger, that's expanded, that's reflected back. And that's important too. One time I had a dream that I was in bed with my cousin. Now, in the dream, we were very intimate with one another, and it was very loving, and it felt very safe and exciting, and at the same time, like just like a warm blanket. It felt so lovely. But when I woke up, I was in bed with my cousin. Ew, right? Like I felt shame around that, and I felt like there was this taboo. So for me, paying attention to the fact that I felt very intimate with somebody, very safe, very close, very connected, very loving, and then I felt shame when I woke up, was an important paradox for me to look at. So that's why I want to pay attention to how I feel about the dream. How I feel in the dream and how I feel about the dream. Okay. So that's the first question. That's part A and part B. Second question is, what feels familiar to me in waking life? Now, remember, dreams are coming to talk to you in symbols, right? So it's not going to be completely and totally apparent. This is why sometimes paying attention to the feelings in the dream is important. So you can ask yourself, what's going on in my waking life where I might feel shame, or where I might feel intimate or loving or connected? Like, is there a relationship in my life where I am feeling connected and loving and intimate, but maybe there's a disconnect of like this relationship is taboo, or my friends aren't going to like this person, or my family's not going to like this person, or I shouldn't like this person. So those are ways that we can say, what feels familiar to me in waking life? Or maybe a person shows up in your dream and what they're doing, the situation feels familiar. So someone at work, right, shows up in your dream, and maybe they are, just completely and totally incompetent in the dream. Everything that they do just makes more work for you. And so you might ask yourself, okay, well, that person isn't actually making more work for me, but I really feel like in my home life, I'm supposed to do everything. I'm responsible for doing everything. Anybody that tries to help me out just messes everything up and creates more work for me. So be willing to kind of stretch your imagination a little bit when you ask yourself this question: what feels familiar in my waking life? And I would also say be willing to sit with it for a little while. So you could even just pause. Like if nothing comes to mind to you right away, pause, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, think about the dream, and then notice what else pops up. And don't judge it, because that's your subconscious talking to you. So just notice, just if something pops up and you're not quite sure how it relates, just write it down or talk it out to somebody. And I bet you'll find the connection sooner or later. Okay? So that's the second question. What feels familiar to me in my waking life? The third question is, what do I want to know? Oftentimes our dreams... Hello! We've got someone else joining us. Hi. Oh, it's Ryan. Is it Ryan?
Hi. Yeah, it's Ryan.
Yay! Ryan is my cohort, my partner in crime in the Dream Temple. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself if you can. If you can't, I will.
Okay.
Where's the mute? Here, okay, you got it, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Right. What do I want to know? So oftentimes our dreams come to us and they've got some freaky symbols, right? Or they've got some, like, we feel really curious about something, or we feel really activated about something. Maybe it's a nightmare and we feel really afraid about something. So pick the thing in the dream that's the most curious to you. What do I most want to know about? Do I want to know why a polar bear showed up in my dream? Do I want to know why my fifth grade teacher that I haven't thought of in 20 years showed up in my dream? What do I want to know in the dream? And start with that symbol. So those are 3 quick questions to help you get a quick start on your dream. And it's really helpful to use these dreams in relationship with somebody else. So Ryan is my dream partner, and he and I exchange dreams together, and we work on our dreams together. And we use these questions often to sort of kickstart us looking into each other's dreams and our own dreams. And then we'll use these questions a lot in the Dream Temple as well. So anytime you're in a dream sharing circle, or even if you decide to form a dream partnership with somebody else, you can use these questions as a launching off point. You don't have to use these questions. Like I said, there's many, many other ways. When Ryan and I first started talking about dreams, he had his way of working with dreams, and perhaps he'll share that with us in the Dream Temple as well. So we've sort of done a combination of different ways of working with dreams, and sometimes one dream we tend to go one way and another dream we tend to go another way, or sometimes we kind of weave them all in together. But it's a quick way of diving into your dreams and a place to start, which is sometimes the hardest thing for us, right? Like, where do I start with my dreams? Okay. The other thing that I want to talk about is, well, let's go into dream weaving, because this will lead into that. First of all, if anybody has any questions, I just want to encourage you to go ahead and unmute yourself, ask questions, make comments. I would love participation. There's the chat box for anybody that might still be cooking dinner, Angelina. So you can always use the chat box and write a question if you want to. You can unmute yourself, make a comment, ask a question. So I'll just do a little pause. I'm going to check my notes. I'm going to leave some space for communication with you guys, if anyone wants to pipe in. Remember, you're on mute, so you got to unmute yourself. Sometimes that takes a little while for people to find the mute button.
Julie, what did I know I was a little bit late to this, but what did you talk about so far?
So far, I talked about cultivating the space for your dreams. So we talked about creating some space before bedtime to kind of open the conversation with your dreams, to set an intention if you want to, or to ask a question of your dream guides, and then creating some space on the other side too in the morning, not just jumping out of bed, but really taking some time to recall your dreams, tell them back to yourself if you need to. Hang out in that space between waking up and getting out of bed, and then also having a way to record the dreams. I talked a little bit about the Dream Temple and invited people into the Dream Temple, and then we are going to have a 7-day dream challenge next week, so that's going to be kicking off. So I talked a little bit about that, not too much. I'm going to talk some more about that. And I think that's all I've covered so far.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Thanks for coming. All right, so I just want to remind you that you are the only authority on what your dreams mean. And I know I'm going to say this over and over and over again. I'm going to beat a dead horse about this, but I'm passionate about it because when we enter into relationship with other people and sharing our dreams, whether we're in a dream sharing circle or whether we have a dream partner, or even whether we post our dreams on Facebook, no one has the right to tell you what your dreams mean. And I would even say not even an analyst or a therapist. They can guide you. They can ask questions. They can even say what they think it means. But really, you are the one. Really, please take back your power with these dreams. Remember, tonight we're taking our dreams back. Know that you get to say with authority what this dream means and what it doesn't mean. You also get to sit with the question. So sometimes, I'm doing a workshop at the end of the month, and the workshop title is called Create Your Bliss. And so I went to Joseph Campbell, one of my faves, to look at what he was saying about bliss. And he said, when we are cultivating our bliss, we have to be willing to sit with the questions instead of look for ready-made answers, which I think is a perfect way of describing dream work, because sometimes when we do dream work, we don't have a sense of, okay, this is what this dream means and this is the answer. I like to ask myself, what's the question that my dream is asking me here? What question am I sitting with? What question is this dream bringing to me that I'm willing to sit with for a little while? So not only am I asking you to take your power back when it comes to your dreams, but I'm also asking you to be willing to sit with the questions for a little while. Be willing to say, I'm not quite sure yet what this means. And I'm not going to ask someone else to tell me what this means. I'm willing to sit with the question. All right, just looking at my notes here, I want to talk to you about the process of dream weaving. Now, dream weaving, people use this term all the time. Here's what it means to me, and this is why I chose this word. There's two parts to it. And the first part is that it is going into our dreams and, again, like I said, coming up with those questions that we want to bring into waking life. We want to start looking at in our waking life. Sometimes there's wisdom, sometimes there's medicine, sometimes there's questions, sometimes there's even a little bit of premonition. There's definitely a lot of creativity, a lot of problem-solving opportunities. And so we want to bring that into our waking life, and we want to weave it into our waking life. Our dreams are coming to talk to us about what it is that we're doing in our waking life that is keeping us from, or keeping us locked in the illusion that we are separate from Source. That's sort of the easiest explanation that I can find for that. Now, there's a lot of layers on top of that. So there's limiting beliefs, there's behavior patterns, there's ancestral, stuff that gets passed down to us. That all gets layered on top. But at the core, our dreams are coming to tell us what's the obstacle, what's in my way for me to believe and to know and to feel connected to Source, and to know that I am Source. I am part of divine creation. I am the web. I am in the web, and I am connected to others. So dream weaving is about bringing that insight and those questions and that wisdom and that medicine from your dream time and applying it to your waking life. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this part of dream weaving first is because in addition to the 3 questions, I like to ask my clients and anybody that I'm doing dream work with, what action will you take? This dream is coming to talk to you and to give you some guidance to help you along your path. And so we want to honor the dream by taking some action. Now, that action might look like sitting with the question. That action could look like re-entering the dream. And again, we're going to talk about dream re-entry in the Dream Temple during the 7-Day Dreaming Challenge. It's a really amazing, wonderful process to go back into the dream and to recreate the experience and to make a different choice and to form a new neural pathway. So maybe we want to do dream reentry. Maybe we want to do a journey. Maybe we want to journal or dance or draw. Maybe we want to do a little bit of research. I know I just had a conversation with someone yesterday. We were working with his dream. And we were talking about the inner masculine and the inner feminine. And in his dream, it felt like the inner feminine was very, very powerless. So one of the things that he decided to do to take action on the dream was to actually see what a powerful feminine energy would look like for him and to start to embody that, really begin to embody that. So that's the action that he's going to take on the dreams. And then things begin to shift for us. So that's part of the dream weaving. What action are you going to take to honor the dream? I want to just pause here again and see if anybody has any comments or questions so far. I know I'm giving you a lot of information. It's all going to be covered again during the 7-Day Dreaming Challenge in the Dream Temple. So I hope that you can just allow this to absorb in. And I talk about this all the time on Facebook Live. I'll talk about it all the time in the Dream Temple. So you'll get to a place of unconscious competence about it. Like it'll just seep in. So don't worry about having to hold on to it right now. Let it just absorb. Whatever's going to be absorbed right now is absorbed, and it's perfect and wonderful just as it is. So let me just check in. Any questions, comments? Maybe we all take a deep breath here. I know I am so passionate about dream work. I can kind of really get going. And I like to pack a lot of information into these webinars. So it can be really good for me to take a breath. Remember, you can comment anytime, chat in the chat box. You can just, unmute yourself at any time and pop in if you've got a question or a comment. The second part of dream weaving is that I have found, because I am a coach, I'm working with a lot of other coaches and healers and therapists and just, generally awesome people who are doing personal development. We all have different tools in our magic backpack. We all have different ways that we understand our inner landscape. And the tools vary widely, from storytelling, from, being an artist, like being able to draw or write music or dance. There are different coaching tools that we have. So there's NLP, there's visualization tools. There's so many different tools that we have, and that each, I have one coach friend who does a lot of somatic inquiry. I do that as well. So what I found is that what we can do is take all of the tools that we already have, and maybe you have them because you're a coach or you're a healer, or maybe you have them because you've gone through these processes. You've been in coaching, or you've been to a therapist, or you've read books, or you have your own practices that you've developed and cultivated. And I like to see what happens when we take those practices and we apply them to dream work. So that's the other part of dream weaving. Instead of saying, here is the way to work with your dreams, we say, what if I apply what I know about astrology to my dreams? What if I apply what I know about Chinese 5-element theory to my dreams? What if I apply what I know about Taoism or Buddhism or Christianity or anything to my dreams? What if I apply what I know about tarot to my dreams? I know Ryan does that a lot. Anything that we can do to understand what's going on internally for us in waking life, we can do that for dream work too. And I've seen it, I've done this with people. I have a dream show every Thursday. In fact, I've got it coming on again tomorrow at noon if you want to catch the dream show with Louis Brantmeyer, and he's a coach. And so we're going to apply his tools to his dreams. So I've done this over and over and over again. I do it to my own dreams. Ryan does it with his dreams. Angelina and I have worked on her dreams together, and we've applied some of these coaching tools that we've practiced together. So this is a really fun way of saying, what's the right, tool in my magic backpack that I want to play with today in looking at my dreams? And because dreams are multi-layered, we can come back to the dream again and again and again and apply different ways of looking at the dream. So for instance, if you're a storyteller, you could apply archetypes, right, to the dreams. You could apply, I had Malik Houlihan on the dream show last week, and we applied the Cartman drama triangle to his dream, which is a way of understanding how we stay locked in conflict. And we applied that to his dream. It was fascinating. It was wonderful. He got to really tune into his inner villain and figure out what was going on with his inner villain. Hi, Angelina. Lovely to see your pretty face. All right, so that's the second part of dream weaving. And if any of you have any skills or tools that you use, that you have in your magic backpack and you use to understand your own inner workings, I'd love to hear what they are. If you want to type them in the chat section, or you can you can take yourself off mute and you can make a comment. That's fine too. Anybody want to share what they've got in their magic backpacks? We've got a silent group here tonight. That's all right. We're going to be playing with this in the Dream Temple a lot. So next week we have the 7-day challenge, 7-day dreaming challenge. And we're basically going to just come in there. Everybody sets the intention for 7 days to apply these, to cultivate a relationship with their dreams. We're going to bring, these 3 questions up again, and we're going to work with dreams. And then the following week, I'm going to invite some guests into the Dream Temple, and they're going to talk about their specific, magic power. And we're going to see how we can apply that to dream work. So that's the following week. So we've got 2 weeks of really awesome. My gift to you, I'm coordinating this all as my gift to you, is to get you to start seeing how wonderful and magical and empowering and transformational your dreams are. So please join us in the Dream Temple. We're going to get to do some dream weaving. We're going to get to pay attention to our dreams, ask these questions of our dreams. We're going to get to comment on other people's dreams. So if you've got tools in your magic backpack and someone posts a dream, please feel free to post your dreams in there. You get to say, hey, I study a little bit of astrology, and what I notice about your dream is that you have this character in there that reminds me of Saturn, and Saturn's energy is this. What does that do for your dream? Does this resonate at all? It's amazing how all of these different tools that we have woven together can create such a rich tapestry of understanding our dreams. So I want to encourage you to, during the 7-day challenge, and then hopefully you'll do this beyond the 7-day challenge, but during the 7-day challenge, I want to encourage you to keep a dream journal. We talked about the importance of recording your dreams. And in your dream journal, you can not only record your dreams, but you can track your dream symbols so that you can create your own dream dictionary. I think dream dictionaries can be helpful, but they're not the first place that I go. I only go to dream dictionaries if I get stuck. What's interesting is that you can start to create your own dream dictionary. Ryan has a really amazing dream dictionary, his own personal dream dictionary that he's created for himself, where he tracks his symbols. Now, that being said, we want to always stay curious, right? So if I've decided that my dad showing up in my dream means this, I want to always remember that I want to keep asking myself, is that true? Is that true for this dream? Is that true for this dream? Is that true in this instance? Is there anything else? Yes, Ryan.
Julie, if I can pop in real quick.
Please do.
Just on that note, I think like it's important not only like it was very like masculine kind of energy that cultivated the practice of like writing down all of the symbols and kind of tracking what they mean. But I think even more so than kind of putting things in those boxes, for me, the important part was kind of observing how the symbols shift and change over time, you know, like, and the recurring ones, how they come back into your dreams and like repeat and change over time. And I think that's kind of also, you know, a reflection of your own inner workings or my own inner workings. And I think it's a very good, especially when you're starting dream practice, to kind of get that base going, and then you can kind of let it flow in and of itself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. That is so, so true. I can give you an example from my own dreams. My mom used to show up in my dreams, and when I first started tracking her in my dreams, for me, she was a reflection of my inner victim. But what I noticed is that as I stepped more and more into my power, my mom showing up in my dreams didn't reflect that anymore. She became a more neutral character, just to sort of represent general mother energy. And so, yeah, staying curious and noticing how your dream symbols shift is a fantastic way of sort of noticing how you relate to these inner characters that you have going on, or these inner archetypes that you have going on. So as I step out of my victim space and into my power space, the symbol for my inner victim changes and shifts. It's a fantastic way to keep tabs on what's going on with you. It's like your dreams are kind of telling you, you know, they're giving you a readout. Here's where you are, and here's where you need to go. So thanks for saying that, Ryan. Ryan, do you have an example in your dreams of a character or a symbol that shifted for you?
I guess one of the symbols that I've been working with even before I really started to dive into dream work was the concept of like the cemetery, and you know what that means, not only on a personal level of, you know, kind of this like creepy kind of death space, and something that I always used to be kind of, you know, terrified of in my dreams. But as I kind of went through my own consciousness experience, like, and shifted through my own dream work, like this symbol of the cemetery became something completely different, of like kind of like shift and rebirth and change, and kind of like the impermanence of things of sorts, kind of so, and that also, like, that feeling and that emotion changed in the dreams with that particular symbol. And those are, in my experience, like the symbols shift sometimes over time, like that with the cemetery, in lots of different ways.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you brought up the feeling around it too, because one of the ways that I knew that my symbol for my mother had shifted was I felt differently when she showed up in my dreams. So paying attention to the feelings around everything is super important as well. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. That's awesome. Okay, so we want to, yeah. So in addition to keeping track of your dream symbols and how they shift and what they mean for you and staying curious about that, I think it's also important to keep track a little bit of what's going on in waking life. Now, you may already have a journal, and you may journal every day. And so, no need to do double duty. But if you don't have a journal and you don't sort of keep track of what's going on in waking life, it can be helpful when you're writing your dream down to just kind of note the big themes that are going on in your life. I feel overwhelmed, or things are, not going smoothly with my spouse right now, or I'm so excited about birthing this project into the world, or whatever it is. Because if you don't have time to do your dream work right away, remember that first question is, how do I feel in the dream? And the second question is, what feels familiar in waking life? So we want to keep track of what's going on in waking life. It helps to be able to go back and kind of see what was happening. It also helps if you're going to be noticing how your dream symbols shift. It's going to be interesting to keep track of what's going on in the waking life as well. Keeping track of the waking life also helps you with your action step, right? What action am I going to take with the dream? So if you decide that you're going to take action on the dream, you want to, number one, know if you did take action. So keep track of that. If you didn't take action, why not? And do you keep having the same dream? If you did take action, what happened in waking life, and how have your dreams shifted? So this is why it can be really helpful to keep some kind of log of what's going on in waking life. If you don't already journal, just to jot down a few lines about what's going on in waking life. Okay, so we want to keep track of the dream symbols. We want to keep track of what's going on in waking life. Keep track of the actions and results. What action am I going to take? What happened because I took that action? What happened because I didn't take that action? And then here's what's fun. I like to keep track of synchronicities and coincidences. When you start working with your dreams, you're going to notice that the veil begins to thin, and it can actually be a little disorienting. And we'll talk about that next week as well. How to stay grounded when you do dream work, because it can start to feel really disorienting. But you'll start noticing these synchronicities and these coincidences. So for instance, you might dream of, let's say, a polar bear, and then the next day you're doing your oracle cards, and what do you pull? A polar bear, right? So little things like this. You're in your dream and you see a red car drive by in the intersection, and then you're in waking life and you see a red car drive by in the intersection. So there's little things like that, symbols that you see, or you'll dream about something and then someone will say something that reminds you of that dream. Pay attention to those things, because as that veil begins to thin, you'll notice how the dream time and the waking life want to be woven together. Ryan, do you have any examples of synchronicities and coincidences from your dreams that you can remember off the top of your head? I'm totally putting him on the spot, so sorry about that.
Let's see here. I guess nothing really pops into the top of my head, but it is important to I feel like synchronicity and those coincidences, and I'm not one that errs on the side of coincidences these days, and so when I see an animal that I saw in a dream, and not only these synchronicities, but there's cases where some people have genuine premonitions, or time is kind of timey-wimey. So some people come and talk to me sometimes about how they saw something in a dream. Not only did they see something similar in waking life, but they saw that exact thing, and it starts to break down the barriers of dream awake and waking life. So but just like Julie said, I think it's important to pay attention to the things that your psyche is noticing that are similar or feel similar to your dreams, even if you're on the other side of the kind of debate of synchronicity, and you think just because you're dreaming things, you pay attention to the things that you're seeing that seem familiar, which is real too, and they're still equally as valid and equally as important.
When you say that, Ryan, I'm reminded of an interview that I heard with an Irish woman, and she was someone was talking to her about fairies and asking her, "Do you believe in fairies?" And she was like, "Yes, I do." And he was like, "Well, tell me more about that." And she was like, "Well, they're super helpful, and if you piss them off, they hide your stuff. So I'm just going to err on the side of caution and believe in fairies." Which I think is like, why not? What does it hurt me to pay attention to the dream symbols and to get curious about them? It doesn't hurt me at all. So what if I let go of this belief that my dreams are just reorganizing my thoughts? And let me just say, yes, your dreams are doing that, and they are possibly bringing you information about what's going to happen in the future, or they are possibly bringing you information about what you might want to pay attention to in your waking life. So my thought is, when it comes to synchronicities and coincidences, why not get curious about it? For me, in my experience, getting curious about it has always led to an opening for me. And so that's my empirical evidence is, for me, it leads to an opening. And I'd much rather have my path lead to an opening than lead to being stuck or to something that's closed off. So thanks for sharing that, Ryan. Absolutely. Anybody else have any synchronicities that have happened for them or have had? Ryan refers to it as timey-wimey, but it's like that. There's Chronos time, which is the clock time, and then there's Kairos time, which is kind of what Einstein was talking about, like that relative time, that that time that doesn't feel like it's attached to anything or that it's even in this physical realm, but we occupy it. Anybody else have any synchronicities or coincidences that they can remember? So I'm looking at, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have a lot of that happening. I think the more that I try to pay attention to my dreams, the more I just see a lot of the same things in my waking life and in my dreaming time. It's just, I'm like, okay. And some of it is very, very similar. Like I'm just replaying a day or a scenario that I just experienced. Some of it is different. And then I'm just like, okay, so I'm just like doing the same things in my dreams that I'm doing in my waking life, which is kind of funny. But I'm looking for the differences, right? Like looking for something that's different, that maybe a message or something that I should pay attention to that I'm not paying attention to during my wake time. Mm-hmm. So I do notice a lot of it just by trying to pay attention to my dreams.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Angelina, if these were my dreams, and this is just now occurring to me, I know we've talked a little bit about this when we've talked about your dreams, but if these were my dreams, if you were having this, lots of dreams where you were just sort of replaying your day, and it feels like that, what I might do with these dreams is start to ask myself, what do I want to do differently? So for instance, if I have a dream where I'm replaying my day, but of course it's a dream, so it's sort of, it's exacerbated. So I'm replaying my day, and let's say that my husband's in my dream, and I can't get him to listen to me. And when I write down my questions, what feels familiar in waking life, I'm like, yeah, I might start to ask myself, like, okay, well, what can I do differently in waking life? This is the action that I'm going to take. What can I do differently in waking life to feel heard? Because I'm not feeling heard. So that's just a thought, if I were working with these dreams that seem to be just replaying again and again and again. And I think it's super wise also to notice, like what are the slight little differences, or what are the feelings, or what is the guidance here for me as well? How does that land for you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Cool.
Don't want to have a whole nother day of T-ball.
Right? I already did this once.
Right.
All right. So I want to just go over real quickly. I know that this was scheduled to be an hour, and I don't want to go over too long because I have a tendency to do that, and I like to be respectful of time. But I just want to recap. that there is, I want to also tell you that I am creating a dream journal, and I'm so excited about this. I'm working with a designer right now for the front and the back cover, and then we're going to get this published. So it's going to, you'll get to see like the process of creating a dream journal. It's really an interesting process. I'll post it in the Dream Temple so you can kind of keep abreast of what's going on. And then of course you'll have the dream journal available to you as well. So it'll be fun to kind of have you guys along on the creative process with me. So the next thing is, I just want to remind you that next week we're going to start on Monday. It's a 7-day dreaming challenge. And the only sort of challenging part is that we're going to all commit to these 7 days of cultivating a relationship with our dreams. So I'll talk more about it in the Dream Temple, what that's going to look like. We'll come in and we'll post our dreams. If you're having a dream that you feel like you want to share with the group, we'll talk about some dream etiquette. So we'll talk about, what's the proper way of interacting with somebody in their dreams so that we can respect their autonomy and we can own that anything that we might be saying is our projection onto that dream. So we'll talk about dream etiquette. We'll talk about more about dream weaving, different ways that you can engage with your dreams. We'll go over the 3 questions again. We'll keep track of our actions. Angelina's been in a dream sharing circle with me before, and it's really, really quite powerful, some of the things that come out when we share our dreams with one another. And what's fun is that we end up dreaming for the collective. And so even if you are in that space of thinking, I don't remember my dreams, there's no way I can participate in this challenge, even if you go 7 days not remembering your dreams, please come and participate in the challenge, because we're all dreaming for you, and you're going to get just as much healing and just as much wisdom and insight as you would if you were posting your dreams. Because, if I post a dream in there and I decide that I want to take action on this particular aspect of it, you can decide to take action too. Just because it's my dream doesn't mean you can't decide to take action. Anytime we take action in our lives, something's going to shift and change. I'm remembering the story that Elizabeth Gilbert tells. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and she does the podcast Magic Lessons, and she wrote Big Magic. And she talks about a time in her life when she was really, really depressed. And she said, I used to get up every single day, go sit in the same chair, and just cry all day long. And she said it wasn't until things shifted when I finally got up one morning, and instead of sitting in the chair, I stood in the middle of my living room and I cried all day long. But that tiny shift, just that shift, carved her path for her to get out of that state of depression. So don't underestimate the importance of a tiny shift, a tiny change in direction. I think it's Lao Tzu that says, if you continue along the path that you're going to, I don't have that quote in my head. Anybody know that quote? If you continue going, you'll get, I don't know, I'll look it up. Anyway, I should have written it down, but it came off the top of my head. All right, so 7-day challenge that's going to start on Monday. I hope you'll join us, and I hope you'll bring some friends with you if you like. And then the week after that, we're going to have some experts come into the Dream Temple, experts in their field, not necessarily in dream work. And we're going to get to see how we can apply the tools that they have, their magic powers, onto dreams, and get even more tools for us to begin to work with our dreams. And then after that, we're going to start talking about lucid living. I know a lot of you in the Dream Temple have already taken the poll and have said, what is this thing called lucid living and how do I do that? So we're going to start talking about what that is and how to start applying that into your life. And just quickly, let me just say that lucid living is, once we become really solid dreamers, and it doesn't take very long to become really solid dreamers, then we start to see how we have power and authority not only in our dreams with lucid dreaming. We can talk a little bit about lucid dreaming, but we have power and authority in our lives. We step into that co-creator space with Source, with Universe, with God, and understand how we can manifest. We finally get to understand what it means to manifest. I know a lot of people do manifestation work, and I know a lot of people get frustrated with manifestation work. For me, being able to have a solid relationship with my dreams made the whole manifestation puzzle make a lot more sense to me. So that's part of what lucid living is about. We're going to talk a little bit more about that after we've gone through these 2 weeks of fun, getting really solid in our dream practice. All right. I think that's about it. I want to check in one more time, and then we're going to wrap things up because I want to be sensitive to time. And I just want to see if there's any questions, any comments. And again, if you're watching the replay, please feel free to reach out to me through email, through Facebook, and definitely through the Dream Temple. So I'll just pause right here and see if we've got any questions or comments. All right. Seems like we're all good. I want to just mention too that part of the dreaming, the 7-day challenge in working with our dreams, and even the week after in working with our dreams, is I'll bring in what I know about energy work. So that's Qigong and tapping and visualization as part of that as well. So we'll get a lot of different ways of interacting with our dreams and interacting with our waking lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody who has been here tonight live. Thanks for taking time out of your night and attending and coming to talk about dreams and taking your dreams back. And thank you to everybody watching the replay. So honored to have you here. So honored to have you stepping into your relationship with your dreams. And, you know, I really have, this is my big dream, my waking life dream, is to cultivate a group of people who are super, super solid dreamers and really interested and invested and cultivated in dream work, so that we can all begin to collectively dream together to manifest an amazing world together. Doesn't that sound awesome? That's my big why. That's where I'm going with this, and I want you along for the ride. So I hope you'll join us in the Dream Temple. I hope you will stay connected with me and start dreaming. All right, loves. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you on Facebook and in emails and love letters from me. In the meantime, sweet dreams, everybody. Bye-bye.